and it's showtime! Hi everyone and welcome for the 41 episode of the Puppet Podcast. I'm so happy that we make this one happen because it's 12 hours delay from both country. So it's kind of an amazing podcast that you will hear tonight, but this morning for my guests. But before I bring him in the screen, I want to talk a little bit about what's going on and bring the guy behind this podcast in the screen, because you know we do that to help the community, to make the social media connection between puppeteers like really growing, and he's kind of the expert to manage the social media, so it could help the community and give tools. So I will bring Eli in the screen, and he will talk more about, hey, hi
Hello.
Eli, the puppeteer behind the Puppet Podcast.
Exactly. That's me. So thanks for inviting me. I didn't know I was the guest.
You are not properly the guest, but you could talk to us about Patreon, because a lot of people have mystery about what is this platform. So I will give you the full screen. You want the old space? Okay, I get out of the way.
Yes, hello. Thanks for the invite, Caroline. So yeah, you've been hearing Caroline talking about the Patreon thing. What's that? What does that eat in summer, in winter? So let me just read you what is Patreon, just to start, so you have an idea. Patreon is a way to join your favorite creators community, so Caroline and the Puppet Podcast, and pay them for making the stuff you love, the podcasts. Instead of literally throwing money at the screen, trust us, it doesn't work. We tried it. You can now pay a few bucks per month that a creator makes. So imagine your favorite creators making a living doing what they do best because of you. So what we do best is, of course, podcasts, but it's also helping the Puppeteers community. With everything that happened in the last couple of weeks or months, probably a lot of you lost some jobs, some gigs, some money. It was not a really a good time for anybody. So we really want to help restart the art of puppeteering, the art of creating shows. And I mean, I'm a specialist in online social media managing. So I want to help you get more audience, get more eyes on what you do. So if you already have a YouTube channel or you already have a show online and you're putting videos, and every day you put videos on Instagram, YouTube, etc., but you don't see enough eyes or people are not watching your shows, and you're wondering why, we want to help you with this, because there's a shift happening. Even with the guest earlier today, he has been in puppetry for 35 years, and he realized he doesn't like computers, but he decided that now he likes them, and he's gonna create online workshops like we do on the Patreon page. So just let me show you real quick the Patreon page. So it's really simple. There's two subscription, a $2 one and a $7 one. In the $2 one, you're gonna have all our appreciation for the tip, of course, and you're gonna have access to my weekly tips. So every week I'm gonna do a live or a pre-recorded video about some tips to grow your audience online. With the $7 a month subscription, you have, of course, all our appreciation for the tip, and also my marketing and promotional tips, but also access to our monthly workshop. So this month, we have Danny Joe that is gonna do a workshop about how to create a web series for children with a very low budget. So it's gonna be really cool. And with this subscription, you're gonna have access to all the workshops that we did in the past months, like the one we did last month with Hogue. He did how to create puppet greetings, personalized puppet greetings business. So that's about it. We really want to help you. We charge that because we're not getting paid to do the podcast, and we want to have a great exchange with you. So that way we can help you grow. And in the meantime, you can help the podcast grow and help more puppeteers get put under the spotlight like our guest today. So here to you, Caroline.
Thank you, Eli. And yes, it's not when we say you, it's also like the puppeteer, but the puppet builder and also the puppet fan. So if you want to see like how we make this channel grow, that's the good way.
Yeah,
to do it.
we're going to show you exactly how we did it. It really exploded in the last 3 months. We're pushing every day. We really want to get the puppeteers of this world under the spotlight the most we can, because we really like this art. And I mean, every artist, every kind of artist can follow the tips we're going to give on the Patreon account. So yes, puppeteers, but every kind of artist. So
yes, thank you very much, Eddie, for this, and see you soon. Continue sharing. Yeah, so thank you. That was the spotlight about the Patreon. And yes, for sure, we want to make this community grow and be successful. So now it's time to bring the guests into the screen. So from Singapore, Malaysia, let's come Mr. Bright Ong. Ta-ta-da!
Hey, good morning. Bonjour.
Yeah, good morning, good evening. That's so amazing that they make
Yeah.
kind of like night owl and early bird at the same time.
Yeah, I'll be very frank with you though. I'm more of a night owl than an early bird, so
That's cool that you are part of the show. And I will ask everyone, because we want to know from where you're watching this show. We get people from India, today, Bangladesh, whatever. Just write it down in the comments so we could just enjoy the fact that we're growing this internationally.
yeah.
So, Bright, could you introduce your path to puppetry for our people who listen?
Wow, my path to puppetry. That's a
Yeah, it's kind of, or introduce you as an artist, like how you can.
Okay, well, so I would say most of the time when I meet people, I tell them I'm an actor, I'm a puppeteer, and I'm a performance maker. And with regards to puppetry, I think I've always loved puppets since I was a kid. And I grew up watching the usual, like Sesame Street, The Muppets on TV. And when I grew older, I just found an affinity for puppets. And I think it was my second professional job in theater was Pinocchio the musical. And I got to meet some really cool puppetry creators. My good friend Graham from Australia, he was the puppetry consultant on the show. And he took me under his wing, and we built some puppets, and I was in charge of maintaining the puppets during the show and performing with them as well. And strangely enough, from then, a lot of the theater shows I was doing had puppets in them. Yeah, whether it was simple or complex, it just happened to have puppets in them. And I was working at Universal Studios for a point of time. I was also playing with the puppets. I was writing a puppet show. I left, and then I did a whole year of television puppetry. And then I came back out to the freelance world, and all the projects that were coming in was just so like every single imaginable different type of puppet style you can think of. It just came, just like that. So it was a very lucky, but I hustled hard to get to where I am in the puppet industry today. And here I am. Talking to you on the Puppet Podcast at Win.
Yes, it's so amazing, and I like to connect with those kind of puppeteer, because everyone has a different path. But I always start with that question, and it's, why do you cherish the art of puppetry?
This is something a mentor of mine once said to me. And I fully agree with it. And it's the fact that I think that puppetry, today in a world where you've got CGI, you look at the way they film movies and the way they do theater, it's just so high tech. Yeah. I mean, like the Mandalorian, for example, when they're shooting it, yeah, like the Baby Yoda is a real puppet. They're using lots of like fantastic puppet suits, but they're using such high tech backgrounds like Unreal Engine to create the volume to play in. But when it comes down to puppetry, like at the essence of it, to me, it's the last bit of real magic in the world, because there's nothing more crazy and mad than when you're performing on stage, and it's a bit of wood or foam, right? And an adult audience is crying. They're like, "Oh my god, I'm feeling for this character," but you do realize it's a bit of like wood and foam, right? And that, to me, that's magic. It's honest. And I always tell my students that the puppet is, but the actor pretends, right? Because an actor, no matter how good you are, you're gonna go up on stage or go in front of the camera, but you're always gonna have a certain politic to yourself. But when the puppet comes on, it's just the puppet. It's not lying. It's so innocent. Yeah. So I think that's what I love about the art. It's just so magical.
I like this thing about magic. It's so true, and it's so powerful and uplifting to believe this.
Yeah.
It's amazing. And I want to go toward your past. The next question is, how did your crush for puppetry happen?
How did it happen? I don't think that was one moment. I think it was several moments.
Yeah.
Right. When I was really young, I think I was 12 years old. Cirque du Soleil toured to Singapore, and my parents brought me to watch Cirque du Soleil. And it was at that moment I knew, I was watching it going like, I don't know what this is, but I want to do that, whatever that is. I don't know what it is. I didn't understand the concept of doing theater. I didn't understand the concept of circus art or performing. I was just like, I just want to do that. And subsequently, all the other shows. I think it started with Saltimbanco, and then they brought in Kidam, Alegria, all these big shows. And something in me, in my head, and my heart just went click, click. That's what you want to do. Yeah.
Oh.
And it was just so magical, for a young boy to be like watching, like the beautiful work that Cirque du Soleil does. But with puppetry specifically, after I kind of knew I wanted to be a puppeteer, I think it must have been on Pinocchio the Musical, because when I was talking to my mentor, Graham, we were learning to build a couple of puppets, right? And he was just teaching me the different techniques and skills on how to maintain something and how to build a joint. And something in me just went, wow, this is a really fun and interesting art. So I kind of went from like the technical side of things, and then learning to appreciate the performative side of things. Yeah, and then from then on, it just like the bar chart was just like this. It just kept going up and up and up and up, and dealing with more and more complex puppets. And I wear my heart on my sleeve. So these days most people forget that I'm also an actor. Yeah, they're like, oh yeah, Bright the puppeteer, right? An actor. Yeah, I also act.
yeah, that's true. Sometimes a hat takes over the other one.
Yeah.
But
absolutely.
it brings me the next question, because we talk about field of study. So in your opinion, what would be the best field of study to become a puppeteer?
Ooh, I don't think there is one. I mean, I guess the logical answer would be go take a course on puppetry. I know there's tons around the world, in Vienna, in the UK, but I mean, look at me. I've got a degree in geography. I mean, I'm a geographer. That's what I've been trained in, or that's what I studied. And I think one thing I always like to sort of like tell whoever comes from my courses or like in my classes is that the best puppeteers or people who have the affinity to do puppetry, they always have a very, very large amount of empathy. Yeah, and I think empathy is a human quality that is a bit rare these days. Like I mean, we look at what's happening around the world right now, I think it's obvious that we all could do with a little bit more empathy. And the best puppeteers know how to give so much, from their soul and from their hearts and minds into their hands and into the puppet. So I don't think there is a proper way to say, oh, this is the right field of study you have to. You just got to be a really nice human being, I suppose.
Yeah.
And understand the world. Yeah, like love. Yeah.
That's true, because you have like not a proper school of empathy.
Yeah,
Empathy.
exactly. Yeah, it's really rare to find people with like empathy these days. But yeah, I think that's what makes a good puppeteer. So if you want to learn how to be a good puppeteer, work on your human skills, I suppose.
Yeah, I like this answer. It's really
Yeah.
nice. And I like to have your own definition. So what is your own definition of a puppet?
Oh.
Because we have to answer that for children,
Yeah.
for family sometimes.
Yeah, I think some of my students might be watching, so I better give the right answer. Okay, to me, the definition of a puppet is constantly evolving, right? I think if I look back at like how puppetry, began, like from the times where it was a vessel for spirits and souls, and or just to entertain, to where it is now. I think the definition of what a puppet is always changing, right? So there was spiritual, there's entertainment, but really a puppet is anything that is technically inanimate. It doesn't have a life of its own, and it requires you to breathe that sense of life and animation into it. So if it can be manipulated or controlled by a human performer, and given qualities that are maybe akin to our world, like whether it's animal or human, I think that's a puppet. Yeah. And of course these days, like you can control something like massive, right? You look at the people who do stuff over at Royal Deluxe, those puppets are huge, right? But it's still human manipulation. Or if you go like completely the other way, you look at King Kong, right? It's all remote control on the face, right? But still human manipulation on the body. And then of course you have like your traditional Muppet style puppets like Baby Yoda, right? Because he's still got a wrangle at the back, with the core movements. The puppeteer does all the core movements at the back, but up here it's all combined with remote control. So you could also argue, I say, that a remote control car is a puppet. So the definition is fluid.
Yeah, but I think it's a good one, and I want to go to that because you are part of Singapore area where puppetry gets really into deep spiritual, like all China puppetry is really something related to the presence, and have you, like, how is it to be in touch with such a deep culture of puppetry around?
It's a bit strange because like I feel I'm a little bit removed from that world as well, because I come from a very contemporary background. So most of the puppetry I do, while I borrow a lot of Southeast Asian elements, I'm also infusing it a lot with like, contemporary thought. So a lot of the puppetry, the traditional puppetry that exists here in the Singapore and the Malaysian region, they tend to stick very closely to their roots. So for example, in like the wayang kulit that we have in Malaysia, which is shadow puppetry. They have their own style. Like if you look at all the different Chinese dialect groups, they have their own puppetry style as well. And these are all linked to either a certain ritual or a certain time of the year, and or more often than not, they're telling a story about a great fable or a great epic tale. And I've watched these performances, and you do see like the strive for that perfection within that framework. Yeah, but that framework sometimes to me can be a little bit narrow, which unfortunately is why puppetry is not a huge thing where I am, or at least traditional puppetry, because I and this is something I tell my students as well. It's like you have to contemporize, you have to evolve with the times. Yeah. Like to me, if I look at art or theater, as a bigger picture, it has to evolve and tell the stories of our time, of us. It's all good that you remember the past, you remember history, and you remember where we came from.
Yeah.
Right? But in order for your art to survive, you have to move forward. Yeah, you have to move forward, and you have to, contemporize what it means for you. So yeah. I wish I could answer that better because
But
I don't have,
It's great. It's opinion, and that's what the podcast is about. We want to discuss about like the tradition and the contemporary and the opinion about all of that. And I think we have to have a thought on everything of this.
Yeah, some people might hate me after this, but it's my opinion. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but we can discuss. Bring your viewpoint. We can also bring it in the screen and just to see what's going on with that. I will go to the next one, and it's really interesting. Do you feel that puppetry has reached its full potential, or do you feel there's still room for improvement?
Definitely room for improvement. I think definitely, like, if anyone that says that, like, oh yeah, puppetry, is done for, it's reached its pinnacle, rubbish. Okay. Because every day, and this is one great thing about social media, right? Like, I follow a couple of puppetry artists around the world, and someone is always coming up with a really fun new technique, whether it's building, whether it's about mechanization or jointing. Like, someone always has a really cool idea. There never is really a new idea because we've been around for so long, but it's always building upon another idea, and it's just so fun to watch. Like, I learned so much from these puppeteers, just seeing their process and how they do things. Like, you look at people like Buddy Ollie in the UK, right? Like, how he does stuff, and how, like, what's that guy's name? Toby Ollie from Grimes Puppetry, how they do certain things. And then I look at my friends from Indonesia in Paper Moon Puppet, and you're like, wow, like, just the techniques, the variety of techniques and the styles is so vastly different. And every day something new is coming up. So has it reached its full potential? No, of course not. And with technology, right? Like, soon enough, I'm pretty sure one of us in the community is going to develop an app, and then you can control a puppet from your phone. I'm pretty sure that day is going to come.
Yeah, maybe sooner.
Yeah, because we've got the remote control toys now where you can control it from your phone. But in terms of like full-on articulation and movement, I'm pretty sure at some point it's coming. Yeah.
Yes, that's a good vision for the future. And I always ask about the ascension. Do you feel we are in an ascension about the popularity of puppetry?
I think, like most things, there's been like peaks and troughs.
Yeah.
I feel there was a period of time, like maybe in the late 90s, early 2000s, I think puppetry kind of took a dip. Yeah. And I'm basing all of this off of what I see in the movies, right? So in the 70s and 80s, they didn't have the technology, so they went for practical effects, right? So like the original 3 Star Wars movies, for example, were like, wow, right? Like proper full-on prosthetic makeup, puppets. And then episode 1, 2, 3 came, and it's all a bit like, oh, why are they using green screen? But after that, I think puppetry had a massive resurgence because of these popular movies. It's so strange, right? Like, these big movies have huge fan bases, and the fan bases are going like, oh, that was terrible, that sucked, or whatever, or I didn't like this, I didn't like the fact that the CGI looked so plastic. And that kind of forced, like, people to rethink how are they shooting characters that are not necessarily human. And then now you see a massive resurgence in puppetry. Like, so many studios are using practical effects once again. So I hope it stays that way, and
Yeah.
not go into another trough. Yeah, because there is that danger of using like CGI to replace certain characters now. And while it may be, more convenient or less convenient, depending on the case, I think nothing beats having an actual puppet, either on stage or, on film. Because it's, you're revolving around, most of the time, you're revolving around human actors. And for a human actor to stand to a blank screen or to stand to a guy in a in a green like skin suit, it's a bit like, how am I supposed to emote? Like, I have to imagine so much. But if I see the puppet, like already you go, wow, this is a completely new being. Yeah. And it's human nature to anthropomorphize things, right? So I see a dog, I go, oh, it's feeling sad, oh, it's feeling happy. We don't really know. Like animals have a different, but that's what humans do. We do the same thing with a puppet. We look at it and go, oh, no, it's feeling hungry. It's like, it doesn't have a digestive system. What are you talking about? But it's just the way we are built. Yeah.
Yeah.
So hopefully Ascension more.
Boom, we wish it. And I will go to the future because I like to know more about your vision.
Mm-hmm.
So what is your biggest purpose as a puppeteer?
Oh my goodness, that's a
big one.
That's a huge one. I did not see that coming. What's my biggest? Wow.
Or something you see you want your career go toward this, or a goal.
Okay. A goal. I think one of my biggest goals since I was a kid was always to be in a Star Wars film. Right? But I will settle for Jurassic Park as well, because they make great animatronic puppets, or mechatronic puppets, I should say. So yeah, like I've always wanted like a role in like a Star Wars film, be it an actor and or a puppeteer. So as a puppeteer, if I reach that level, I'll be like, yes, I'm living my childhood dreams, and I think that's just it's just a bit sweet to think about, because as a child, puppetry was something that I really liked, and then now as an adult, you go, I get to live my childhood dream, and that would be magical. But if I go back to the root of your question, which is what's my greatest purpose, as a puppeteer, I think it would be to, and I think this, I mean, in my opinion, it applies to everyone around the world, but to tell the stories of your people, and be accountable for it, have credibility behind it, and be responsible. Tell these stories with love and with care, and something that will remind your people, your society, your community as to who they are, why they are, and which direction they're moving forward in. I reference back to the times when puppetry was banned in the United States, because the government's really afraid of like, puppets are political and they're gonna bring down the government, which I think it's, wow, how fragile is your ego to how insecure are you to think that. But times have changed, and unfortunately we're seeing a lot of just terrible human behavior around the world right now, with the whole I mean, obviously you've read the news about what's happening in the US, and even with China and Hong Kong. It's weird. It's like history repeats itself all over again. It's like, are we back in the 70s? What's going on? But as a puppeteer, I think my greatest responsibility and my greatest purpose is to tell the stories of my people and of humanity. Make sure that I tell it with proper care, with fairness, and most importantly, I think with love, because I think that's what we all need right now, is a little bit of love.
Wow.
Yeah.
You have my intention toward this big purpose.
Hey.
I put some in this direction for sure. So let's see what the public said, because I have one last question, but we seems to have many questions here. So let's bring in the screen. Oh, here. Alexander asked, what the puppet that has most hard to work with?
Okay.
Kind of a good one.
It's a good one because I don't know whether he means hard as in effort wise or whether he means like technicality wise. But I'll answer both. Okay.
Yeah.
I think one of the hardest puppets to work with, all right, is always taking a soft toy and you shove a stick into it and then you make it come alive. Because it's just this thing where it just goes like that, right? And you have not much control over it. But if you can manage to bring that to life, right? And engage with an audience, I think you've done your basic training. Yeah, right? Because you've got not much to work with, but that's the best training ground. Another puppet that was really hard to work with in terms of effort, I built this massive 5.5 meter long puppet for an outdoor festival, right? And on my shoulders, I was an extension of about maybe another 1.5 meters, plus the puppet, which then made it, I think, 2.5 meters maybe.
Whoa, okay.
Yeah.
That's
so
high.
I was the biggest guy in the team, and I wore the front where the head was hanging off, and it was just like even going down the steps or a curb, you're just like, okay, I have to be really careful not to slip, and I have to like compensate for height for the guy at the back. So it was just like effort and like even like coming down to the audience, like sort of squatting down. You're just like, okay, hold your core tight. Use your legs, use your knees, brace, and go down. 2, 3, 4, and breathe. Do not relax and breathe. And coming up. And 3, 2, 1.
Yeah.
So that was a good workout. I got really strong from that one.
That's good. And it's really a physical job that we do.
Yeah.
That's true. And let's see, we have another one. Wow. Okay. Just a second. Yeah, that's Alexander who said the difficult, and you answer it. Here. Hopla, Nicolas. Has he taken part of the Japanese water? Oh, have you ever done this?
No, not yet. Not yet. I'm hoping one day, because you look at the Asian region, right? Like every single Asian country is so different, and of course, like especially like in an area like Singapore and Malaysia, we have so many different ethnicities, so many different races, and each of them bring their own culture into this like great big melting pot. So not yet. I really want to try though. Like I've seen it before, and I also want to try out the Vietnamese water puppetry, because that looks like amazing fun. So I don't know, Nicholas, if you can send me over to Japan, that'd be great. I would love to. I would really, really love to. But I guess for me right now, like the closest would be the Vietnamese water puppetry show. So I mean, I know how it works. I just haven't tried it.
Yeah, but he also asked if you have experimented with bunraku puppet. So.
Yes. So I have actually, because not the actual the traditional bunraku, but the contemporary style of things. So a lot of my puppetry influences come from the bunraku style of puppetry, because I feel it gives you the most the highest percentage of contact with your hands with the puppet. So I did a show at Legoland Malaysia, where I was brought on board as a resident director of the show. It's for this franchise called Ninjago. I don't know if you know it. It's a Lego cartoon about ninjas. And the guy, again, Graham, my mentor, brought me on board that project. And all the puppets were bunraku style. Yeah, they weren't bunraku puppets, but the bunraku style. So Lego, like little Lego like figurines, but bunraku style puppets. So so in essence, I indirectly I have done bunraku puppetry, but not the traditional stuff, which is going to take me years to master. Yeah, because they have their own system of hierarchy and respect. So one day if I retire in Japan, maybe.
That's a good answer, because that's true. The tradition is really still there, and
and that's amazing in today's world. That's amazing. That's just wow. Like, they've clung onto that, and like massive respect for the commitment that they have to that.
Yeah. It's
Beautiful.
so beautiful. Yeah, that's the word, beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
And like the last hard question I have for you is,
Ooh.
where do you see the puppetry art in 10 years? Where will we will go? That's a new question of the podcast I bring.
Man, if I knew, I'd be a rich man. You know?
Maybe you will.
Maybe. Where do I? Oh my goodness, Caroline, that's such a. I guess in 10 years' time, maybe at this point, there's a slight hope in me that, the leaders in performance. All right, so for example, if it's stage, like if you look at the West End, or if you look at Broadway, hopefully someone, pushes forward with this idea to tell a story with puppets. All right.
Yeah.
A lot of times we see a lot of shows that have puppets revolving around humans. You look at Warhorse, the most sort of puppet heavy show I can think of right now at 10:30 in the morning. I'm a bit asleep. Is Avenue Q, right?
Yeah.
So, and that's a very like commercial sense of like, okay, how to move a glove puppet. I hope someone comes up with a really cool and inventive way to tell an entire story just using puppets, where the puppets are the main characters of the show. Yeah, hopefully. And in film, I hope they continue to experiment and break new ground with how they can, create more stories visually with puppets as well. Because it's just something about it when you look at it on screen and how the actors are reacting to it as well. There's this life, that you don't normally get every other day. I mean, if we had like Baby Yodas walking around, that'd be really cool. But when you see on screen, that's the magic of it, right? That's the magic of what puppetry brings to a story. It's just this otherworldly character who, you're allowed to imprint your own imagination upon, and that's what's important, and that's part of the magic, right? You're exercising your imagination. You're looking at something going like, I've never seen that before. What the hell is that? And why am I feeling for it? Oh my goodness. And and that's building empathy, isn't it? Right?
Yeah.
So yeah.
So in 10 years, a lot of empathy towards puppetry and human. So
yeah. And I, oh my goodness, in 10 years time, can I just say, I hope people start to recognize puppeteers as not just a props handler. Because oftentimes people who don't understand puppetry think, oh yeah, you're a puppeteer, right? So that's the same. We can put your puppets with the props, and like we'll make you the prop master. It's like no, s'il vous plaît, no.
S'il vous plaît, no.
No, please, I hope in 10 years time people start to understand that puppeteers are like your actors, are like your dancers, are like your musicians. They are, part of the performing team. Stop putting them aside. Acknowledge the fact that they're there to help you as a director or producer bring to life your story, and that's so important.
Yeah. That to direct puppets it's an art. To write for puppetry too. It's something.
I've come across a couple of directors in my time, and they're just like, oh, I don't know what to do with the puppets. Just go do something. I'm like, or they get really scared and defensive, and then they don't know what to do with it, or they can't tell what's good puppetry and bad puppetry because they're not willing to take time to learn a little bit more about the art. And that, to me, hopefully in 10 years time, that will be a thing of the past.
I like this. I think, and if everyone we keep teaching and educating our teams, we will get through that.
Absolutely,
sure.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. I'm bright. You are so bright and shiny. I'm really happy to have. Yeah. And if people want to see more of you, your work, where they can find some
I do have a website, and that is www.brightong.net. But the easiest way to follow me with my work, it's just on Instagram. I put everything there, you know, whether I'm having fun on a day out or whether I'm doing serious work, it's all on Instagram at bright.ong. So
Yes.
yeah, easy.
Great.
Yeah.
Easy, and yes, I really encourage to people to go to see, because it's amazing how you have a lot of stuff in
Which is
your...
why people get confused. They can never remember. Are you an actor? Are you a puppeteer? Like, what are you doing? Why are you directing now? What's going on? It's a bit like, yo, hey man, I'm a freelance artist. I do what I love to do, right? So, yeah.
Yes. So I will wish you the best for your other job that's coming, and
Thank
yes,
you.
enjoy your time and keep create. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me on the show.
Yes. Bye, Bright. See you.
Au revoir.
Au revoir. And thank you very much, everyone, to have been part of this wonderful episode. I want to thank you for watching today. And remember to visit our Patreon account, where you can find tips and tricks to help you to grow your social media, because the social media promotion is really key and to bring more eyes towards puppetry. So this Patreon is for puppeteer, puppet builder, puppets fan. So to be honest, this tips is also applicable to any artist. So just feel free for theaters also, if you are curious about what we propose to grow your audience. So be free to have a look. And if you have any comments about what you want to have in a workshop, what you want to have advice on the Patreon, just feel free to write into the comment or write us an email. So the address is info@puppetpodcast.com. So everyone, I say good night or good morning, depends where you are on the planet, and see you soon for another episode next week. We have again 3 new guests from USA and Canada. So stay tuned for another Puppet Podcast show. Bye.